Hello everyone. Sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So from this chapter we are studying subtopic artificial hybridization. Okay. So what is hybridization? Hybridization means it is the obtaining the desired characters from the transferring the pollen grains to the stigma of the flower. Hybridization, right? So but here in the artificial hybridization, we get the desirable characters, right? So here the breeders is interested in crossing different species and the often genera to combine the desirable character to produce the superior varieties. So the artificial hybridization, you know the meaning of hybridization, that is the transfer of the pollen grains to the stigma of the different plant, right? But artificial means, so the breeders they transfer the pollen grains to the stigma artificially to obtain the superior varieties, means to obtain the desirable characters in the plant. Artificial hybridization is the major approaches of crop improvement program. So in such crossing experiments, it is important to make sure that only desired pollen grains are used for the pollination and the stigma that is protected from the contamination. So in the artificial hybridization, the desired pollen grains from the plant that is transferred to the stigma, and the stigma also protected from the unwanted pollen grains or the contamination. So this is achieved by the emasculation bag and bagging technique. Self the female parent bears the bisexual flowers, removal of the anthers from the flower, but before the anther dehisces using a pair of forceps. Necessary, this step is referred to as emasculation. Then what is emasculation? So the artificial hybridization, mainly it involves the emasculation and the bagging technique. So what is this emasculation technique? Emasculation technique means, so the removal of the anthers, so the male reproductive structure in the bisexual flower, that is called as the emasculation. So the removal of the anthers from the flowers, but before the anther dehisces using the forceps, pair of forceps. So by using the forceps, the removal of the anthers before they dehisce, before they get mature, the anthers are removed in the bud condition. So that step is called as emasculation. So here by using the forceps or the scissors, so this is the parent plant which contains, see here you can see the male reproductive structure as well as female reproductive structure, right? So when this flower in the bud condition, the anthers are removed. Okay, so the anthers are removed, then this process is called as emasculation. So here also you can see that the process of the emasculation. Then emasculated flowers have to be covered with the bag of the suitable size, generally made up of the butter paper, to prevent the contamination of the stigma from the unwanted pollen. So the emasculated flower, already we have removed the anthers from the flower. Now we should bag the stigma. So stigma that should be bagged, just imagine this is the stigma, it should be bagged like this, the flower, because it prevents the unwanted pollination. Means sometimes there is a chance of transfer of the unwanted pollen grains to the stigma if there is no bagging, right? So this process is called as bagging. When the stigma of bagged flower attains receptivity, so when this stigma that become mature, that attain the receptivity, the mature pollen grains collected from the anthers. So now the desired pollen grains, the mature pollen grains transferred to the or dusted on the stigma, and the flowers are rebagged and the fruits are allowed to develop. So in the artificial hybridization process, the first step is emasculation. Emasculation, that is removal of anthers when it is in a bud condition. And the second step, that is bagging, which prevent the unwanted pollination, transfer of the unwanted pollen grains to the stigma. Then the bagging is removed, and when the stigma attains the receptivity, when the stigma is ready, the pollen grains are transferred to the desired pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of the flower. Okay, again it is rebagged and the fruits allowed to develop. So these are the different and the important steps that is involved in the artificial hybridization. What is artificial hybridization? Emasculation and the bagging technique are the important one. Thank you.